never in my wildest dreams could I imagine that that would happen at the Olympic Games. There wasn't really many like emotions at the time. It was, my mind was like kind of blank.
Outshine Gold, presented by Lululemon.
Damian, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you being here. You know, sometimes in life we say, how are you to people as a form of hello. I don't want to ask you that as a just sort of passing phrase. On a personal level, 24 hours after what transpired yesterday, how are you doing?
As I sit here today, I'm okay, I'm fine. I've had some time to kind of process what happened yesterday. I think yesterday I was a little bit emotional. There was a lot of thoughts going through my head, and in situations like that, it's always very tough because I'm one athlete that's competing, but there's so many people behind me that support me, and even though they tell you not to think this way, it's very hard not to feel like you let them down because they've given up so much time and energy to support me, and I want to go out there and I want to put my best foot forward. And unfortunately, yesterday wasn't my day, and that'll sit with me for a little while. But I've been around for a long time, and I know that I'll be able to bounce back and get back on the track and compete like I know how.
So obviously you've had a little bit of time to digest. I know it's been 24 hours, but when you do look back on yesterday, what went wrong ultimately, especially in the pole vault?
Whew. Yeah, my mind's been just kind of like racing through all these different scenarios. Like I should have did this, I should have went to a smaller pole, I should have moved my mark in. But in reality, there's so many little things that kind of just kind of arose. We were dealing with a big headwind, but the truth is, at the end of the day, I just didn't make the adjustments that I needed at the time, and I had to live with the results. But I'm proud with how I competed up until that point. My first day wasn't necessarily my strongest, but I kept myself in a position to fight for a medal. And then going out there in the hurdles, I did what I needed to do. Discus, I threw really, really well. And then unfortunately, pole vault is my nemesis once again, and kind of ended my competition. So I'll be sad for that, but there's a lot to learn from this competition.
Going back to the end of the first day, as you were going to bed that night, as you left the stadium and started to think about day two, how were you feeling? How was your confidence?
My confidence was really high. I knew going to this competition that it wasn't going to be easy. I spoke with my sports psychologist before the competition even started, and I said, like, this is going to be a dogfight from the start to the finish. There's going to be no one-punch knockouts in this decathlon, and we planned for this, and I just needed to be in the hunt after the first day. Some people came out and put some really good performances together. Some of the top guys didn't, but there was probably 4 or 5 of us that were right where we needed to be in the hunt, and then yeah, unfortunately, the second day didn't quite work out the way that we wanted to, but that's the decathlon for you.
You mentioned pole vault being your nemesis again. I believe in your second attempt, there was an incident where it seemed like a piece of a previous competitor's vault was in the vault box, and that seemed to have thrown you off a little bit. And I'm wondering how much it did throw you off for the subsequent attempts.
Yeah, so starting back on my first attempt, I did my warm-ups, and my warm-ups were fairly solid, but then I kind of sat around waiting for my first attempt for probably 45, 50 minutes, and in that time the wind adjusted quite a bit, so there was a much stronger headwind, and then I went for my first attempt and my pole just didn't go to vertical, and I wasn't able to get over the bar, so I was just like, okay, I'll just run a little bit faster, push a little bit harder, and then I did so, and then it hit some other decathlete's plug was left in the box. Hit that, it shot out, and then I just didn't clear my jump, and I was just like, what's going on? And another athlete was there to help me and be like, hey, no, this shot out, and they gave me another attempt. But it was kind of in my mind now, like, do I go down a pole? Do I just try to do the same thing? I tried to do the same thing, but it didn't work, and then I was left with one attempt, and unfortunately that didn't work. So I think ultimately there was just like so many different variables that just weren't in it for me that day, and it sucks.
When reality sunk in, you put your hands on your head. Could you describe what you're feeling in that moment?
That was like an interesting situation, just because there wasn't really many like emotions at the time. It was, my mind was like kind of blank. Like, that doesn't happen I've been doing the sport for 13, 14 years, and this is only the second time that's happened to me, and never in my wildest dreams could I imagine that that would happen at the Olympic Games. We've been working so hard all year on that event specifically, and it's been going really well. So I just never had that in the cards, and yeah, like I said before, this is something that I'm gonna have to live with for a while. But this is the sport. This is why when you get to stand on top of the podium, it's so special, because you know how many different things can go wrong. And if anything, it makes me appreciate 2021 even more, just because I know how difficult it is. But this decathlon was right there for the taking, and unfortunately I wasn't able to follow through.
Why did you choose to withdraw?
For me, I chose to withdraw just because that's the reality of the sport, in my opinion. Like, you go and you do the event, and it doesn't go well and you drop out. Sometimes you can go into these competitions and you could fight all the way to the finish, and then it's all these what ifs, like, if I just cleared my 450 or my opening height, then I would have been a gold medalist or a silver medalist. And in my mind, and it may not make sense to anybody else, but that's unfair to do for myself. It's unfair to do for all the other athletes to be like, oh, you only got this medal because somebody else messed up. No, they got that medal because they competed really well on the 2 days, and I didn't do my job. And I have to sit in that pain that it was to not be able to continue. And that just shows me that if I want to finish a decathlon and I want to be able to be proud of that performance, then I need to be better. I need to go to the practice every single day and make sure that that doesn't happen again. So for me, it's just kind of a personal thing where it's just like, I want to feel that pain. It's important to be consistent, and it's important to go out there and do my job. And yesterday I didn't do my job.
Last one, you said you started in 2012. It's been quite the run for you.
Mm-hmm.
You won in 2021. You were the oldest in the field. Would you like to come back in 2028?
We'll have to see. 2028 is a long way away. For me, I'm just going to take it year by year. I know for certain that I want to do the World Championships next year in Tokyo. And then after that, we'll just have to take it year by year. I was lucky enough to meet my idol in 2016, Vince Carter. And he was still playing at an older age. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, how long are you going to play? And he told me, until I stop loving the game. And I still love the decathlon. I still feel like I have so much to improve on in the sport, clearly. And I'm going to keep going until that love kind of dissipates. And right now it's still stronger than ever, and I feel like I still have a lot to improve. So I'll be back next year, and then we'll just go year by year from there.
Well, I wish you the best. You're a class act, and I know you want to get home to your son Theo and see your partner as well. And I think you're expecting another child as well very soon, right? In the next few weeks.
Yes.
So you have a lot to be excited about, a lot to be thankful for. You've made Canada very proud, and we really appreciate you sitting down after a tough day, but you're handling it so well. So much respect to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.